Every time I got a box on my doorstep, my skin crawls. I used to have panic attacks, but now I know that a creepy gift will only come on my birthday, and it's inevitable. I never had simple pleasures such as waiting happily for something I bought online, or living for many years in the same house. I've been moving every year, and this person still finds me. According to my parents, the macabre tradition started when I was 10. My mother got the unknown box addressed to me, her only daughter, and naturally opened it up to check it out. At 45, she literally had a heart attack. But my parents were still able to hide its nefarious contents from me. We moved to another house, and they were the ones to find my creepy gift the next year again. When I turned 12, living in yet another house, I found the box for the first time. Needless to say, it really messed up my head. My parents tried to tell me it was a sick joke, and that the thing was a fake one. For a while, I tried to believe it, but it was hard, because I had to spend all my birthdays at the police station, and the policeman never addressed that like it was fake. I don't have any friends or a boyfriend, and I live in fear. I've been homeschooled after I was 12, and always worked home office. The only thing I ever do outside of my house is go to therapy. My parents are getting too old to move around every year, so I've been living on my own lately. It's fine, as long as my lease and bills are under someone else's name. It makes me feel like I have some control over my life. I legally changed my name twice, but this person still finds me. Happy birthday to me. I'm spending it at the police station again, testifying the same thing all over. No, I don't know who this person could be. Yes, I've tried setting up cameras. I tried having both policemen and private security at my door to catch them, but it was no to avail. No, nothing out of the ordinary happened to me in the last couple of days, or in any other day of the year. No, no one has ever tried to kill me. I never wronged anyone. I never accidentally witnessed a crime. I never did anything that could make a murderer target me. Because this much is pretty clear. My perpetrator is a murderer. Every year, I get a woman's scalp. I already got all types of slaughtered females. Old, young, middle-aged, blonde, brunette. This time, it was clear that the head belonged to a very young female. She couldn't have been older than 10. My heart sunk. I hate how they always ask twice if I don't have any enemies. If I didn't steal someone's boyfriend. Because that's the first thing in your mind. Killing someone just to send the top of their head to your rival. There's no such thing making mean posts on social media or spray painting that bitch's car. There are many things about the situation that are even creepier than the scalps. The first, of course, is that I only do my best to hide whenever I move to a new place. But the person doing this always finds me. The second is that the box always has fingerprints of a single person all over it. He or she doesn't even try to hide it. Whenever the police check them out, there's no match. Like, this person doesn't exist. Or doesn't exist yet. Am I too crazy to consider that my attacker is a time traveler? The third thing is that when the police technicians run the DNA tests on the scalp, they always find the same result, year after year. The dead female is me. Kibi and Polog were two exchange students claiming to be from China. In the uni-managed flats, we don't get to select who our flatmates are. And many who stay in university housing are foreign exchange students. I wasn't one myself, but had come all the way up from Queenstown and decided to stay in the uni-managed housing until I got the hang of things. Our other two flatmates were from Canada and Wales, but they also knew something was up with these two. When I first met Kibi and Polog, I was taken aback with a strange sensation of flight or fight. They were deeply unsettling to look at. They did look Asian enough it was plausible they were from China, but there were many unsettling things about them that you would think they shared physical deformities. First thing I noticed was the lack of lips. Not thin lips, but absolutely none. Kibi used lip gloss around her strange flesh hole, but that only made things worse. And Polog grew what looked like an attempt at facial hair. Too obscure is fact, but the hair was a perfect circle around his mouth, rather than a normal goatee. So it looked like he had hairy lips. When I got past this first look, I had to deal with her hands. They were completely smooth. No knuckles, no palm lines, and tiny little nails that looked as delicate as the membrane of a chicken egg. It was like someone had filled golden latex gloves with water and attached them to their wrists. I say golden because their skin looked like a bronzy gold, rather than a tan or pale yellow complexion. They straight up looked like gold statues walking around with even the same illuminance of one. Light made their skin glow like God had sent them down as angels. Screwed up, demonic angels. So, you can look past appearances. Maybe they were from a region in China, where people just looked like that. You can call me racist. My friend did. But then, I sent him a photo of them, to which he replied, "Did you Photoshop that?" Because they looked too strange to be real. But then, there was how they talked. At first, they tried to speak to me in Te Reo, the Maori language of New Zealand, but then got annoyed when I could not reply. We learned Te Reo and come to Aotearoa, but nobody speaks it. Why are there no Maori? Kibi said. That experience is familiar in fairness. I recall learning French all through high school, but as soon as I got there, everyone just spoke to me in English. It was difficult to explain to them that Te Reo wasn't spoken by most people in New Zealand, not even by many Maori. They seemed confused by the fact that not everyone in New Zealand was called Maori, and that most people were European descent. We were told there were Maori here, but there are only others, Polog said, frustrated. They spoke to each other in their native language. I'm not saying Mandarin or Cantonese, because it sure as hell wasn't those. This is when I really started to question if they could be from China. This is when I really started to question if they could really be Chinese. Their language just sounded wrong. I'm not saying I speak Chinese of any sorts, but I'd know what it sounded like if I had heard it. It sounded more like Aboriginal or African. I isolated one word they used repeatedly. Bolo Golong. I have tried to Google what it means in any language, but no such luck. I did ask, but neither of them could explain it clearly. Is this how you are completed? Kiki asked me strangely when I inquired. We want Bolo Golong. Then, there's the day I suggested they visited a mare, a Maori cultural space. They wanted to meet Maori people so bad. I was guessing wanting the picturesque experience of New Zealand tourism, but didn't understand that Maori culture wasn't really integrated to overall New Zealand. They didn't even have a clue what I meant when I said the British had colonized New Zealand. Somehow, they had missed out on learning that history. I regret suggesting they visit one. There's no way I could have known what their demented plans were. It was when I got home that night that I found the flat smeared with blood. The floor was littered with these strange organic tubes connected to power outlets outside, and all leading into Kiwi's room. I was on the phone with emergency services when I finally opened the door, so I can only imagine how loud my scream was for the operator. I still don't know how to fully explain what was going on in there. It wasn't just a murder, but rather a dissection. A man and a woman, two people they had met at the mare, were strung up with the same fleshy tubes with their torsos covered in blood. The woman looked disemboweled while the man was castrated. And there stood Kiwi and Polog. Both were naked, so I could really see how inhuman they were. They looked like demented, pudgy Barbies. No butt cracks, toes, nipples, knees. Just smooth forms of golden flesh. Kiwi had started to fuse the womb and ovaries to the front of her abdomen, while Polog had attached the penis and testicles to his smooth crotch. I wasn't even sure how to explain it to the operator, but the buzzword murder got the cops there pretty quickly. Kiwi and Polog went willingly into custody, but the police and ambulance personnel were not able to detach the stolen sex organs from them without pus shooting out of the attempted incisions, so they had to leave the organs attached. Kiwi and Polog vanished that night in custody, but the public doesn't know this. It never made news at all. Someone shut down any media about it, and the police came back later to tell me to keep quiet. Then, they asked me if I knew what Bolo Golong was. I still don't know what it is. Nobody does. Kiwi and Polog took that secret with them when they vanished that night. I woke up that night with terrors about them. Sometimes I'm sure they've come back to do the same to me. I dropped out of uni and returned to my parents' house. They don't understand what had happened. They just know murders happened in my flat, but don't want to cause me any distress by bringing up any details. An American man came by my house to see me months later. He said that Kiwi and Polog were terrorists, part of a greater psyops by the Chinese government to cause distress and distrust in other countries. He said spreading this information about what happened would only help them win. I don't trust him. As the car window rolled up and I was standing on the porch, I faintly heard him say, "Bolo Golong," to the other mysterious figure in the car. My mom isn't herself. I'm writing this so that someone can find my body if this goes wrong. Even as I'm writing this, I can hear scratching at the hatch. I'm hiding in a room I found under our house when I was a little kid, but I never told anyone about it. She's found it though, and now I'm almost out of time. I should have done something from the start. That day when I heard a blood-curdling scream from my parents' room, the one you hear in films but never expect to hear in real life. I should have gotten help, or just dealt with it myself. I don't know, but I need to do something. I didn't. I goddamn didn't, and now I have to resort to a post just so someone can know my story. After I heard the scream, I carried on with my life and pretended it had never happened. But my mom was never the same. It started off as just small things. She wouldn't eat anything one day, and then another day she'd eat all she could. Or she'd drag her feet as she walked. Or just stare at you. Oh God, the stare. I can never describe that stare to you, but it burned itself in my mind, and it felt like it was digging into me, finding out everything I know. Maybe that's how she knows about the room under the house. Even with all of this, it still wasn't anything serious. Until that one day, I came home to find blood covering the walls, and I heard a muffled scream, so I ran as fast, but as quietly as I could to the hatch that would let me get to my secret room. From then on, I heard the sickening sounds of teeth on flesh and bones as it devoured my brother and father. I tried to shut them out as much as possible, but I just couldn't. It's as if the creature my mom has become knows what I'm trying to do and amplifies the noises. I was starting to go insane down here, and I knew it wouldn't stop. I had my phone with me, and we had Wi-Fi CCTV around our house. So against all of my instinct, I took a look. The thing that was once my mother was now a monster. Horns the size of elephant tusks, and teeth the size of sharks. Its claws were as long as eagle talons and just as sharp. Its skin, for a lack of better words, was burnt and red, wrinkled, and yet not old. Its eyes glowed if it was dark or not. Its looks would haunt a man for the rest of his life. I knew in that instant that the stare my mom gave me was that of the beast. That awful, horrific stare. I did some research on the internet, and at first, I got nothing. But I had nothing else to do, so I kept at it until I found one article. It perfectly described the beast I could see through the cameras. It was an ancient, mythological beast from thousands of years ago that surfaces every now and then to feast on human flesh until it was satisfied. There was a myth that said the only way to kill it was to surprise it and make a wound deep enough in its chest to hit its origin piece. This piece was the source of its power. But if you come face to face with the beast, it puts a protective shell around its chest that no weapon on earth could penetrate. I'm almost out of time, so I have to act. I can hear it pounding and scratching at the hatch. Soon, it'll be through, and I'll be out of time. I have a pistol I stole from my dad a while ago. It has one bullet in the chamber, so I have one chance, and that's it. I'll post an update if it all goes to plan. If it doesn't, then fear the worst. So please, if you hear that awful scream, do something before it's too late. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I appreciate it a lot. And also, big thanks to my patrons, and if you want to support me, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. And if you want to hear more scary stories in the future,